It's time to check your money with your friendly neighborhood advisor. Mike Jennings is a wealth advisor with Brackens Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and a registered representative of LPL Financial, member SIPC. Mike, I don't know if you can tell that there's a little frog still living in my throat. I am coming off just a bear of a cold type thing that had knocked me out for the past week. In fact, since you and I talked was the last time I talked because I couldn't talk between then and now.
Okay.
So I'm glad to see you. I guess you're the good luck charm. So whenever I see you, I have a voice because literally the last time you and I talked, and I was on the verge then.
Yeah.
You,
Well, I don't know about good luck charm because I don't know if you can tell, but my sinuses are cooked.
okay. Well, I
uh,
haven't seen you in a minute, so don't blame me. Don't blame me.
it must be the change in the change in weather since we're in September now.
We are in September now, and this is the first show in September since Labor Day, right? So
Yep.
therefore, the unofficial end of summer. And so, did you have a good unofficial summer?
It was all right. We didn't really do as much as we would have. Now that we have a baby to make sure that we're growing, growing the right way.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So really, it's just hunkering down for the colder months to come, and make sure we get the nursery together and everything like that. So
Did you make it to the fair?
we did not. But
Mm-hmm.
she did. My partner did get some food. She had some people drop her off something. So we
All
got
right.
we got a taste of the fair. We just didn't do
So,
the
what did she
whole
have to
thing.
have?
It was the fried dough.
I was gonna say, I bet it was the fried
That
dough.
was an easy guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So no, that's pretty cool. Well, now we forge along into the fall, and hopefully I hear that the winter's gonna be tough, but we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. And I wish I could say everything else kind of slow down a bit, but nope, that's not the case. So we're just gonna get right into it, George. We got a little bit to cover here. So last week, and overall, we've been talking about the situation with tariffs and the whole global trade and everything. Last week, some of you may have seen or heard. So a federal court found that most of the Trump tariffs that he implemented and that we've been discussing since last year were illegal. Trump claimed, and he claimed to have the authority to impose these tariffs in the first place by claiming that we were in a national economic emergency. Now,
Mm-hmm.
with that being said, there's a long convoluted history with this authority and how it came about.
Mm-hmm.
Since this country was founded, people have debated what the president could or could not do in times of national emergency, or what they could or could not do in general. But that's another conversation. Now, this arose from actions that previous presidents have taken during times of war, conflict, or economic situations.
Mm-hmm.
The initial idea was that the president should be able to make certain time-sensitive decisions without having to wait for, congressional sessions to
Sure.
for them to have their say.
Makes sense.
Exactly, makes sense. So the problem, now the problem was that
The problem
by
is this president, but no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
but listen though, listen, because he is who he is, but the stage was set for him a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So by 1973, Congress had found that they had previously granted presidents 470 individual powers that they could impose during times of an emergency. And these are powers that are, some of them are sweeping, but they impact most Americans in some way or another.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on top of that, they also realized that four previous national emergencies were never officially canceled.
Okay.
So that was the Nixon shock of 1971. We're going backwards. We're starting from the latest to the earliest. That was the Nixon shock of 1971, the postal strike of 1970, which was also under Nixon, the U.S.'s entrance into the Korean War in 1950 by Truman. And the oldest one that was still in effect at the time was the Trading with the Enemies Act of 1933 under FDR, President.
Let me go back. So when we say the Nixon shock, are we talking about Watergate?
No, no, no. This was a economic shock, and it was due to sort of going from the global standard that we had at the time for economics, and sort of switching how some of the economic processes
So they
work.
call it the Nixon shock. Okay.
The Nixon shock.
I was
I
gonna
guess
say because Watergate was another one, but okay.
Watergate was a whole thing. That was a whole nother. Nixon was active.
Yes, he was.
So with that being said, from 1933 to 1976, when this law that we're going to speak of was in effect, so it's 43 years. Continually, the United States was in a constant state of emergency. Not necessarily because it was this huge emergency that we couldn't fix, but it was because nobody ever thought to cancel any of these states of emergencies. So, and during that time, the presidents, all of them that existed at that time, held virtually limitless power. Because, like I
Okay.
said, there were 470 individual powers that Congress transferred from Congress to the president to be used during these times. All right. Now, with that being said, this led Congress to passing the National Emergencies Act of 1976. And that is what actually ended those previous emergencies. And that act also dictates what actions the president can take during emergencies, alongside the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA, which was passed in 1977. And
Okay.
that dictates the powers that involve regulating international commerce. So the IEEPA is the very same law that President Trump argues gives him the authority to levy tariffs on the rest of, the entire planet.
Okay. This is a great explanation, though, Michael. I really, really appreciate that. Okay.
Yeah, all right. Since you said that, let's see how good I am as a teacher.
Okay.
Or let's just see what your general knowledge is, because I didn't
You ain't
mention
teach me
any of
nothing
this.
yet. Well,
I didn't
you
I didn't
taught me
teach you
that,
anything.
but go ahead. All right.
So let's do a little pop quiz, George. Number one, do you know how many national emergencies are currently in effect at this very moment? And two, how many powers does the National Emergency Act grant the president during these times?
So, how many are right
How many
now,
national emergencies
and
are
how
in effect
much?
right
How
now?
many? All right. So, because this is interesting because I'm thinking about this question, and
Hmm.
so let me start by saying I have no idea on
Okay.
either one of the questions. So now that I've said that, let me guess now. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm thinking there's like when there's a hurricane and there's the National Guard, and then I remember we had COVID, which was in the man.
Yeah, and
I
now some of the things you're mentioning there. Let me add that these are a national emergencies. So sometimes, like hurricanes, a state like Florida or North Carolina can have a state of emergency. So states can issue emergencies for their state,
but all
but
right.
a national emergency it affects
The
everyone.
only thing I could think of is COVID, which we just had, and the
Eh,
authorization to do vaccines. I thought was so I could say my answer that I again clarifying. I have no idea.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say there's two
All
because I
right.
don't know. And then how many powers does the IEEPA grant the president during these emergencies? You know,
Now, remember, I mentioned before the IEPA, the presidents during that time had 407.
470. And I'm thinking if they wanted to limit,
Which they,
hmm,
they did.
I'm gonna be wild and say 10. I have no idea.
All right, so our guesses are, or our answers are, what was it, 2 and
I
10?
said two because I'm thinking
Two
related to
emergencies?
COVID right now, like you said, currently.
Right.
And
Yep.
I'm thinking, well, tariffs might be three. So I'm just thinking, since that is what we said we're doing, oh, and I would say defense is also considered a national emergency when you decide. So now I'm going to say four. That's it.
Core. All right. All right. So we got four national
That's
emergencies
what I
currently
think. Yes.
currently in effect and 10 powers
That's
of the president.
how off
Gotcha.
am I?
How off are you? Well, at this very moment, George, Mr. Kilpatrick, there are either 40, depending on your source, there's either 48,
Okay.
49, or 50 national emergencies
Right
that are
now,
currently in effect and
by
have
this,
been because
by the White House currently, or
right
right.
because the National Emergencies Act also required that once emergencies are declared, they have to be renewed annually or they expire.
Okay.
So that way they don't end up with,
All right. And
these decades long emergencies. But there is no limit on how many times you can renew. So guess what? We still have decades old national emergencies.
that have
Now,
not ever been okay.
yep.
And
So the oldest of them was declared in 1979 under President Carter. So only a couple of years after the act went into effect. So that one will turn 46 years old in November. And I know some of you out there, and probably you too, George, are asking, okay, what are these emergencies? What, 50 emergencies right now, and we don't really hear about it, right? So most of these have to do with economic regulation. So they were implemented through the IEEPA. And what they had to do with is things like blocking terrorists and cartels from, being able to do what they do and move funds in and out of the country, stopping terrorists from building and maintaining weapons, mass destruction. That became a big topic a few months ago with
mhm.
Iran.
So I knew defense
Regulating
was in there somewhere.
there you go. You were on you had the mind. I saw the wheels turning, and you started. You changed that answer, but you got there. Um, Other things like regulating against areas and countries that are generally hostile to themselves, each other, and other countries, and also concerning cybersecurity. So those are one of the newer ones. And then also you have things like COVID and health related emergencies as well. By the way, President Trump um, declared 13 national emergencies in his first term and is now up to eight in this current go round. So
Go
that's
around.
that's
And how many? So to the second question, how
mhm.
many powers does the IEEPA give the president at one time? Now,
So it's no longer 470. It isn't. Um, but the National Emergency Act authorizes 150 individual powers that the president can use. And on top of that, only 13 of them require that Congress also consider us being in a
only
state of
13.
emergency.
Yeah.
So that means there are 137 powers that a president can use if they issue, a state of emergency. 137 powers, pretty much unchecked that can be used.
Mm.
Right. So yeah, and then I know there's some people out there that follow the what is it, the 48 laws of power. Well, the president has 137 powers of law. So,
Okay.
do with that what you will. Now back to the current times today. Despite the ruling from the federal court about these tariffs being illegal, they are still permitted to stay in effect until the appeals process is over, which will inevitably rise to the Supreme Court of the United States. Um, so you can imagine how that's going to go
Yep.
with about three Trump-appointed justices on there and a couple more that are,
Conservative.
staunchly
He's got
staunchly
six.
cheerleaders of that whole movement. So yes, exactly. Yes, six Republican justices. And we'll continue to see more and more of these issues that are being attributed to the tariff situation. Prescription medication availability is being strained in a lot of different areas. Manufacturing is suffering higher production and material costs, obviously, which ironically, that whole thing, that was Trump's big push
Right.
to do the tariffs in the first place. He
Thinking
was
that it would make it
supposed to bring all these manufacturing
supposed to,
companies
right.
and
Oh, we're gonna do it here now. Right.
exactly reshore them and put them to America, which that sort of ideology might work for places like where we are with Micron and things like that. But that is a country that has always been headquartered in the US. Um, Pretty much things are all over the place. We're seeing the BRICS countries being pushed closer together because of these global trades. For those of you that are unaware, BRICS is an organization of, I believe they're up to 10 countries now, 10 countries that are considered emerging markets. So, they are developed, but not as developed as like as something like
Developed, but not
akin to
as
the
developed. In
right. They're not. There's
a
still some areas
specific
that they're
area.
working on, but they're
Yeah.
definitely getting there. So BRICS is named after the first five company. Actually, it was first four originally when it was BRIC. But it's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and it became BRICS when they added South Africa, and they added five more countries after that that are in that emerging market category. So if you've been paying attention to the news or you're getting alerts on your phone and all that, Trump has had a lot to say about India, Russia, and China in the last few days, which
Right.
could lead to problems far more worrisome than economics. I don't think China parading the full might of its military force yesterday was mere coincidence. With all this stuff, what are some of the things that we're looking out for? I believe tariffs will still continue to have an impact until this Supreme Court appeal. And then with that, even if Trump loses this case, it will unravel the recent trade deals that he completed with the European Union and Canada, Mexico, and other places. And it might even actually incur refunds from the federal government to American companies because once again, it was always Americans that were paying for tariffs, so we're not going to get a refund from anybody else. And finally, I expect more nonsense in general. So with all that being said, make sure that you're doing all that you can do financially or otherwise to be in the best position to face whatever comes next. And as always, I am your friendly neighborhood advisor. I hope that wasn't too much doom and gloom for the people out there. So if it was, you can give me a call and yell at me about it at 315-748-5540 or shoot me a quick email at michael.jennings@brackensfsn.com.
All right. Mike Jennings is a wealth advisor with Brackens Financial Solutions Network LLC and a registered representative of LPL Financial, member SIPC. He is your friendly neighborhood advisor.